Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a part 2 on my crazy ex-boyfriend. Now, my last video I covered a lot of crazy shit that he did and put me through, and that got a really good response from you guys. So I thought I would come back on here and do a part 2 because that video did not even cover half of the crazy things that I've been through with him. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Now let's get into this video. So the first thing that I have to talk about with you guys, I made a list, so that's why I'm looking down here at my phone. I made a list of things that I didn't cover in my last video that I want to make sure I cover in this video. So one of the things that happened with my ex-boyfriend was, at the time my mother was starting to get really ill and her cancer treatment was starting to take a really strong toll on her body. So she ended up in and out of the hospital very often, and then last time she was in the hospital we knew things were getting very bad. The doctor said that there weren't much that they could do, and that was a very difficult time for me, as you can imagine, and it's a difficult time for anybody who's going through a loss of a parent. So at that time, I was in the hospital with my mother, spending time with her, and I had talked to my ex-boyfriend saying, my mom's in the hospital, she's not doing very well, but I would really like for you to come over and, you know, be there for me, support me, help me, you know, through this really difficult time as a significant other should. So he decided that he was going to come to the hospital. And when he came, as soon as he walked through the door, my grandmother basically kicked him out. She was like, no, you need to leave, you need to get out of here. She did not like him, and for good reason, but she wanted him to leave, and I didn't want him to leave because at that time he was somebody that I wanted to be there for me. I wanted him to be there to support me and things like that. So I didn't want him to leave. My grandmother wanted him to leave. So I ended up leaving with him, not like leaving the hospital, but we walked outside and we talked. I remember sitting outside of the hospital with him and he started to like cry, which is fine. I mean, you know, men are, well, he wasn't a man, but you know, males are allowed to have emotions, that's totally fine, but he started to cry. But he was crying because he was saying like, your family doesn't like me and they don't want me there, and I was telling him like that they didn't want him at the funeral either, at my mom's funeral, and he started to get upset about that. And it was so odd because the moment that I needed consolation and I needed support, I was the one giving that, because I was the one trying to make him feel better, and I was ending up consoling him when the whole reason why he came over was so that he could be there for me. So that's actually a moment that I really regret. I don't have a whole lot of regrets in my life. I believe that things happen for a reason. I actually don't regret being in a relationship with him because he did teach me a lot of things about what to put up with and what not to put up with. And I thought that he was a very valuable lesson in my life. So I don't regret being with him, but I did regret that moment because that was a time that I could have spent, you know, with my mother, and I could have spent being with her and spending time with her, because our time was very short, because our time together was coming to a very quick end, and that was valuable time that I could have spent with her that I chose to spend with him. So that kind of sucked. Well, it did suck a lot. So that was something that I regret doing, and it just shows you that he didn't care about me. He didn't care about my personal feelings. He was not there to console me. He was not there to make me feel better. He was there to make a scene. I remember one day I was in Barnes & Noble and this girl texted me, and she basically said that I didn't deserve Luis and that he was too good for me and that I was a bad influence on him or whatever, and I was kind of shocked by that. I responded to her and I was like, what are you talking about? Because he made his personal life very public, and that was something that I was never really comfortable with at the time, because one, I felt like I didn't need to justify my personal life to people who were strangers and meant nothing to me, even people in school that I thought didn't need to know. They didn't need to know what was going on because that was strictly between me and him, but he had no problems telling people all about me and the supposed things that I did to him or whatever. He texted me saying that I was bad for him, and I texted her and I said, look, you don't know my story, you don't know my side of everything, so I don't understand why you're coming at me and trying to make me seem like I'm the bad guy in this whole situation when I'm not. She said, no, I don't know your situation, but tells me, you know, that he's hurting himself and that he wishes that he would die, and you're not helping him and you're just making it worse. And so I was like, I'm not gonna tell you what's going on in my personal life because I don't need to defend myself to you because you don't mean anything to me. You're not family, you're not friends. I don't need to justify my life and my side of the story for somebody that doesn't mean anything to me, you know? She said, well, if you don't tell me, I'm just going to assume you're the bad guy. I was thinking to her, do you not get that what you're saying makes no sense? That you're just going to take one side of the story and even consider that there is another side to the whole story? So I told her, look, I'm not going to tell you my personal life because I don't need to justify that, but I'm just going to say that he's not the only person that's going through a tough time. He's not the only one struggling with self-harm and suicidal thoughts and things like that. And she basically backed off at that point. I didn't hear anything else from her. I don't know if I mentioned this in my last video, but we broke up once in April. When we were dating, we dated from July, we had 1 year anniversary, and then we broke up in March. So we were together for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and we had broken up in April for about 2 weeks. In that time span of 2 weeks, I got a lot of messages, not only from him but from his friends, saying, hey, you need to get back together with him, he really misses you, he's very upset that you left, he says that he's gonna change, and he really has changed. And I got probably 50 Facebook messages solely from his friends saying that I needed to get back together with him and that he changed and all that stuff. And from him I got well over 100 calls, 100 text messages. I remember one night my phone, within a span of 30 minutes, my phone was blowing up with messages from him. He was calling me, he was texting me, he was calling me again and texting me again. We were talking one night and I was saying, you need to change, you need to show me that you've changed. People are telling me that you've changed, but you need to show me that you've changed before I decide if I want to continue this relationship or not. Well, his excuse was, I can't change if you don't get back together with me. For whatever reason, that was good enough for me. So we ended up getting back together. We had officially broken up in April, and that was the first time that we really broke up, I guess you could say. But I remember coming to school one day, and all these people started to come up to me and they were like, I heard about you, and I'm sorry, are you doing okay? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, well, he told me that you guys broke up. And I was like, no, this is totally news to me. I didn't know anything about this, and I think that I should be the first person to know if we broke up or not because I'm his girlfriend. It wasn't just one person. It was at least 5 people that came up to me saying that he had told them that he had broken up with me. And he wasn't at school that day, shocker, but I got home and I messaged him on Facebook and I was like, why are people telling me that you broke up with me? Like, are we broken up or are we still together? Because I think that's something that I should know, is if we're together or not. And he said, what are you talking about? And I'm like, 5 people, at least 5 people saying that you broke up with me. And he's like, oh, don't listen to them, they don't know what they're talking about. Well, obviously it's coming from somewhere, so did you say something or did you not? And he basically just shrugged it off and he was like, don't listen to them, they don't know what they're talking about, they're stupid. And I was like, okay, whatever. So after we broke up in April, which was, for me at least, our official first breakup, and then we got back together after 2 weeks, but there was this girl that he liked, and there was a girl that I knew he liked, and I didn't like her, one because she was a total bitch to me, and pretty much anybody that she didn't like. and she was totally mean for no reason at all. But he liked her, and that was probably another reason why I didn't like her, because he liked her, and that was stupid because that doesn't give me a reason not to like her. It gives me more of a reason not to like him. But still, I also didn't like her just because she was a bitch. But back together, me and this kid, we were arguing, and he said, well, that what's her name the first time we broke up. And I was like, the first time? So that made me think, one, you were lying when you said that you didn't tell people we broke up. And then two, you thought we broke up and then you went out and made out with this girl, but I thought we were still together. And you lied to me and said that we were still together, and these people were just making shit up saying that you said that we broke up. So to me, you basically cheated on me, and then you lied to me. And that's not, of course, the only time that he's lied to me, but that was news to me that he cheated. I didn't really realize that. But then, of course, later on, looking back and thinking back on it, I was like, yeah, he totally cheated on me and then lied to me about it. So I remember one night we were fighting, and he was out really late, and it was like 3 in the morning, and he didn't talk to me. He basically messaged me, and then I messaged him back, and he never messaged me again until like 3 in the morning. And he came back saying a lot of things that didn't make any sense. He was making a lot of spelling errors, and I was very confused. So I basically asked him, like, hey, what's up? Like, why are you not making any sense? And he basically told me that I think that he was high or something. And I was like, why? Why would you do that? That's really stupid. And he was like, well, you made me. And I was like, no, pretty sure I didn't. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't make you smoke pot or do Xanax or whatever. So he was trying to like put this blame on me that because we were fighting, because I was getting mad at him, that I pushed him away and I made him go out and do all these drugs so that he could make himself feel better. And he was just blaming me for shit that he did, you know. It was his problem. He was the one that was doing the drugs. I obviously didn't make him. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know what he was doing until he came back and told me. So, but he chose to blame me anyway, which is ridiculously stupid. But so we finally ended up breaking up in March, and not long after that I started to date Micah, so after me and Micah got together, he went on my Instagram and he went on Micah's Instagram, and he also texted me. And on my Instagram he was basically calling me a slut and whore, and that he was going to be in the Marines, and that his parents were going to be so proud of him, and then I was like this spawn of Satan, and that I was gonna burn in hell. And I told him that he had fallen off his rocker. And I don't know if I should say this because I don't know if he still has his Xbox name, but he's like, well, that's why they call me blank, and that was like his Xbox name. And I was like, no one calls you that. Like, no one calls you that. That's so stupid. And so I was like, whatever, you're an idiot. And then he goes on Micah's Instagram and comments on one of his pictures, and he's basically saying that I was a cheap, dirty whore, and he was saying like how he basically fucked with me. Like, we never even hung out alone, do you know what I mean? Like, he never came over to my house, I never came over to his house. Whenever we were together, there was always other people there or adults there. So we never would have even had the chance to hook up. But he was basically commenting on Micah's Instagram saying that I slept with him. And then he sent me a text message, and he was basically threatening to come to my high school and kill me. So I knew that he had weapons, I knew that he had guns, I knew he had brass knuckles, and I knew this because he brought them to school. He brought his gun to school, he pulled out his gun and was like, look what I brought. And that was in middle school. And I was like, one, you're an idiot, why would you ever bring that to school? And two, why do you have that? Because you're like 12 or 13, whatever. And so I knew that he had weapons, and that if he wanted to kill me, he probably could have. So he was sending me these threats and these messages saying, you better watch out when you get picked up from school tomorrow. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, just watch your back or whatever. And then I was saying, well, we have police officers at our school. Every high school or every public high school that I know of they're called SRO officers, and every high school has them. And I was like, we have these officers, like, there's no way that you could possibly do anything and I'm gonna report you because you're threatening my life, basically. He's like, the SRO officer has nothing on me, or they're gonna break my wrist before they put me in cuffs or something like that. I don't know, some stupid shit. But he was just threatening to come to my school. He's like, you better watch out tomorrow when you get picked up. So first thing in the morning when I went to school, I reported him to the SRO officer and I told him, hey, this kid is threatening me. Sorry, my hamster's eating. I was saying this kid is threatening me. He's saying that he's gonna come to school, that he's gonna hurt me. And he was very smart because he never came out and directly said, I'm going to come to your school and I'm going to kill you. He implied it. And that was so hard to deal with because the SRO officer couldn't technically do anything because he didn't technically come out and say he was going to come over or come to the school. He just said, you better watch out and things like that. So there wasn't technically a direct threat, but I don't know, you would think as a police officer you would understand that this is an implied threat. It didn't really take me seriously. I was in my counselor's office and the SR officer was there and I was telling them what was happening. And basically all the officer did was he said that he would contact the officer at Homeboy's high school and let them know that he had said these things. So they really didn't do anything, and of course Homeboy never showed up. But he always made these threats, always made me scared, to be honest, because I was always very concerned for my life for a long time after we broke up, because he said to me one day, he was like, you better hope that I don't find out who you marry or where your wedding is, because I'm gonna come to your wedding and I'm gonna kill everybody there. Whether or not his threats were real or not, I knew that he had means of doing things. I knew he was crazy. I knew he was psycho. So it wouldn't surprise me if he would try something like that. So I was always very concerned for my life for a very long time. But I remember one day all the high schools in that county have a career technical school that they go to, that juniors and seniors are allowed to go to take career technical classes. So there are automotive classes, sorry, my cat's back there. There are automotive classes, there are photography classes, there's carpentry, there's a bunch of career technical schools or career technical classes that you can take there. So I was there at that school, and you can also take other classes like APs and honors and things like that. So I was walking to my history class and I felt this tug on my book bag, and I turned around and Homeboy was standing right behind me. And mind you, I was in the doorway, so not only was he preventing me from getting in my classroom, he was preventing everybody else waiting to get into the classroom. So I wasn't about to stand there and have this conversation with him because, one, I was honestly debating if this whole situation was even real. And then I turned around and, well, I told him I need to go to my class, and I turned around, went to my classroom, and I was like freaking out because I was thinking, cool, he knows where I am, he knows what school I go to now, he knows that I'm in this classroom. Is he gonna try to come and kill me like he threatened to do before? So I was freaking out and I couldn't focus that entire rest of the day because I was so concerned about if he was going to stalk me or whatever. So I was walking to the bus to take the bus back to my home school, and Homeboy is walking beside me. He's trying to have this conversation to me like we're totally cool, and he's like, how are you doing? How's your classes going? How's your semester? Are you doing okay? I don't want to just look at him and be like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, are you really being legitimate here? Because why are you even talking to me? You really have the audacity to talk to me after everything that you've put me through? So I just ignored him, but we got to a point where he knew that he had to go a different way to go to his bus, and he kind of implied it too. He was like, well, I gotta get going, and I was like, bye. And he was like, do I get a hug? I was like, really? You have the audacity to ask me for a hug? Bitch, no, you don't get a fucking hug. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, hit the bell icon so you get notified of when I upload videos, because I don't have a set filming schedule yet. I do plan on posting a vlog tomorrow, so hopefully that goes up. We'll see how it goes. But leave a comment down below of your crazy ex experiences, because I'd love to hear them, because if you can top mine, man, I pray for you. I really do. I feel you. It's definitely a hard thing to go through, but I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!